She had been in that room for 3 days. No sleep, no food, Gestapo officers taking shifts so the pressure never stopped. They wanted names, they wanted addresses, they wanted the entire network she had spent 2 years building from nothing, one whispered conversation at a time. And Noor Inayat Khan, a children's book author from Paris, a woman so gentle her SOE handlers had almost rejected her for being too soft, sat across from them and gave them absolutely nothing. She was 29 years old. She would be dead within the year, and when this war ended, the world would barely remember she existed. To understand how a young woman who wrote stories about rabbits and moonbeams ended up in a Gestapo interrogation cell, you have to understand what the Second World War demanded of people, and what it demanded, in particular, of women. By 1940, Nazi Germany had swept across Western Europe with terrifying speed. France fell in 6 weeks, the swastika flew over Paris, and Winston Churchill, staring into the abyss, authorized the creation of a secret organization unlike anything Britain had ever built before. The Special Operations Executive, the SOE, was given one brutal instruction: set Europe ablaze. Its agents would not fight in uniform. They would not follow the rules of conventional warfare. They would slip into occupied territory, build resistance cells, sabotage supply lines, and feed intelligence back to London, all while living under false identities, knowing that capture meant torture and death. What made the SOE genuinely revolutionary for its time was this: it recruited women, not as secretaries, not as support staff, as agents, as field operatives, as the people who would carry cyanide capsules in their jacket linings and jump out of aeroplanes into the dark over occupied France. Between 1942 and 1945, 39 women served as SOE agents in France alone. 13 of them were captured. Of those 13, 10 were murdered in Nazi concentration camps. These numbers are not abstractions. Behind each one is a life, a story, and a silence that has lasted far too long. Noor Inayat Khan was born in Moscow in 1914, the daughter of an Indian Sufi musician and an American mother. She grew up in Paris, trained as a musician herself, published a collection of Buddhist children's tales, and by all accounts was one of the most quietly extraordinary people who ever lived. When France fell, she escaped to Britain, joined the Women's Auxiliary Air Force, and was recruited by the SOE in 1942. Her handlers were uncertain about her from the start. One report described her as not overbright and lacking in ruse. Another said she was too emotional. What they meant, reading between the lines of their own condescension, was that she seemed too kind for this kind of war. They sent her anyway. In June of 1943, she parachuted into occupied France as the SOE's first female wireless operator in Paris. Within weeks of her arrival, the network she had joined was destroyed. Arrests swept through her colleagues. One by one, the other agents vanished. London offered to bring her home. She refused. She was now the only wireless link between the French resistance in Paris and British intelligence. If she left, that link died with her, so she stayed. She moved constantly, changing safe houses every few days, transmitting under the noses of German direction-finding units that were actively hunting her signal. She operated alone for months. Meanwhile, other women were doing the same across France. Virginia Hall, an American who had lost her leg below the knee in a hunting accident and walked on a wooden prosthetic she called Cuthbert, was building and commanding resistance circuits across the unoccupied zone. The Gestapo called her the most dangerous Allied agent in France. She was so feared that they distributed wanted posters with her image. She later crossed the Pyrenees on foot in winter to escape them, through snow, on one leg. To a border crossing, she reached nearly dead with cold. She then went straight back in. By autumn of 1943, Noor's luck had run out. She was betrayed, almost certainly, by a fellow Frenchwoman paid by the Germans. The Gestapo came to her safe house on the night of October 13th. She fought them physically, she screamed, she clawed and struggled in a way that shocked the officers arresting her. This was not the profile they expected. She tried to escape twice from Gestapo headquarters. Once, she nearly made it across a rooftop before being dragged back. They classified her as highly dangerous. They put her in chains. The interrogation room. Bare walls, a single light. Officers trained specifically in the art of psychological dismemberment. 3 days, then 4. They had her codebook. They had her notebooks, a catastrophic security breach, because she had been writing down every message she sent and received against all protocol. But the names, the faces, the addresses, the people she had sheltered and been sheltered by. She did not give them a single one. In November of 1943, she was transferred to Forchheim prison in Germany. For 10 months, she was kept in chains, in solitary confinement, in conditions the prison governor later acknowledged as the harshest he had seen applied to any prisoner. On the 11th of September 1944, she was transferred again, this time to Dachau. She was taken to a cell with 3 other SOE women, Yolande Beekman, Madeleine Damerment, Elaine Pluman. All of them had run circuits across France. All of them had been betrayed. All of them had survived months of interrogation without breaking. Early in the morning of September 13th, 1944, all 4 women were taken to a courtyard. They were forced to kneel. They were shot. Noor Inayat Khan's last recorded word was liberté. That single word, spoken on her knees, in the dark, at the end of everything, became the turning point, not for the war, which was already turning, but for what we choose to remember and why. It took years, decades, a small group of researchers, historians, and advocates who refused to let these women dissolve into footnotes. In 2012, a bronze bust of Noor Inayat Khan was unveiled in Gordon Square, London, the first memorial to an Asian woman ever erected in the United Kingdom. Virginia Hall was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the only civilian woman to receive it in the Second World War. She asked that the ceremony be held privately with no press. She did not want the attention, she just wanted to have been useful. If you have stayed this deep in the story, then this channel was built for you. Every single day, we bring forward the history that time tried to bury. Subscribe, and tomorrow's forgotten story will find its way to you. The consequences of what these women did ripple forward in ways that are difficult to quantify but impossible to dismiss. The circuits they built, the intelligence they transmitted, the sabotage operations they enabled. Historians now believe that SOE operations in France shortened the war by a meaningful margin, disrupting German supply lines ahead of the D-Day landings. How many lives that represents is a calculation nobody can make, but the direction of that number is unmistakable. What the forgetting cost us is harder to see, but just as real. Generations of young women grew up with a version of the Second World War in which they barely appeared, in which courage wore a uniform and a male face. The recovery of these stories is not a corrective footnote. It is a rewriting of what we thought we knew. Noor Inayat Khan wrote stories for children about the moon and about kindness. Then she went to war and proved that the two things were never incompatible. History loses something irreplaceable every time it forgets a name like hers. One story like this, every single day, subscribe, and the next one will be waiting for you.